I'd like to introduce you to Ingela. How many know Ingela? Okay, she's been around a while in the coaching supervision and the coaching space. Good colleague, good friend, does a lot of work in the play field. So I'm looking forward today. And Ingela, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you very much, Lily. And I thank very much Lily and Damien for the invitation. And it's an honor to be among my colleagues in supervision, sharing a topic that I'm very dear and very fond of. So a little bit about me. I'm I'm coming from a background of chemical engineer, and of course, coaching is a second career. But then I also am a psychotherapist, and then I was a coach I started in 2010, and then team coach, and then a coach, a supervisor and I learned from Damien. And I'm also being very fond about studying and learning from humor and playing and creativity. And when Damien invited me to, share a little bit about humor in supervision, I thought, where do we start, in humor or about creativity? And that's where I'm gonna start today, and I'm gonna share a little bit here. And most of you are supervisors, but in the case you are supervisees, this also helps, because probably this is a question that we don't ask ourselves. If you are not supervisors or supervisee, because I allow myself to invite some friends and I'm not sure whether they're coming or not, but please, if you're here, ask yourself, this in life in general, is how do you invite creativity and humor in your supervision? But this is also a question, or how often do you invite creativity and humor in supervision in your life? Because if you don't invite it in your life, it's very probably that you don't invite it in your supervision. So that will be probably your first question, right? How often do you invite creativity and humor, or humor, in your life? So this is our first reflection. When you're supervised, how often do you ask yourself about your creativity? Let me stop sharing for a little. So this is, this is actually a creative question. How often do we ask ourselves about our creativity? We rarely do this. We sometimes say, I'm not creative. So we decide we're not creative, and we no longer ask ourselves whether we can be creative or not. And that's when our potential reduces immediately. And this is where because our time is limited, this is the only time I will ask for a small group conversation. And this is a question I would ask to please discuss for 5 minutes in a group, probably of 3, Lily. Let me put the question again. When you supervise, how often do you ask yourself about your creativity? So we just have 5 minutes to share between you, and then we come back, and we would like to hear from a few of you. Maybe 4 minutes, but if you're ready to come back earlier.
Okay, so I'll open up the rooms for 5 minutes.
Hola, Elian.
Everybody's in their room. Great. I'm going to put a pause on the record.
All back. Good. Well, lovely to have you all back. We would love to hear at least a few voices of what were your reflections. How often do you think about your own creativity when you supervise? How often this is one of the topics you supervise, or when you are supervising someone?
Ingela, I had said that when I'm creative, I feel like I have a whole lot more fun, and I hope I'm more effective, but I know I have more fun. And one of the things I'm reminded of, being my my coaching supervisor in class, was how you were always talking about what's possible rather than what's not possible, and pushing on us. And that helped me recall in this conversation when I learned that the rules of a game do not say don't go past the rules, but if I start thinking about what can I do within the rules, within the boundaries, I feel like I'm more creative. Yeah.
Thank you, Naomi. I also remember those great times together. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Yes, Jane, please.
We talked about, or I talked about play and creativity, and I realized that we can go afar, afloat, wherever, as long as we have built the trust. So the trust gives us permission, in a way, to offer a shift, like find something in your space that just captures where you are right now, and that they are willing to engage with us. So that trust is that quiet holding of that gives us permission to play.
Thank you very much, Jane. Yes, you're very much onto what we're gonna talk right now. Very much onto the right direction. Well, it's not that it's right or not. It's just onto the next direction. That's what I want to say. Okay, Elian.
So we were talking more about creativity in our life, and just thinking about how we define creativity for ourselves. And in my supervision, what I always say is the best thing we do for our clients is to bring our own humanity into the room. So I think just laughing about ourselves as supervisors and sharing what happens with us is such a way to bring lightness into the room, because we are all humans and we're always repeating our mistakes and learning from them. And I think that is such so lightness is what comes to me. I think I bring my creativity with lightness and this playfulness Jane was speaking about. And we were sharing how wonderful it is to think about how am I bringing my creativity? Because that brings more creativity into the room just by thinking about it. So thank you, Ingela.
Absolutely, and that's a very important topic. You talk about several words. You talk about lightness, you talk about authenticity, and about creativity. And a very important thing is, you bring yourself in, but you bring yourself in a very light way, because we can bring ourselves in, but if we're going through very difficult, sore times, it's difficult for the supervisee, right? So bringing ourselves in that moment is, we need to take care of the other as well. So when we're happy persons, it's very good to bring that authenticity. When we're going through hard times, okay, authenticity is like not that good. I know this doesn't sound like the best thing to say, but it's the honest thing to say. So probably the best thing to check in is that we keep ourselves in a light state, right? And if something doesn't feel light, we need to take 1 month away, just like Lily does, or 2. No, just joking, because we cannot do that all the time, but sort of trying to be checking in, what do we need to feel better? Either supervise, either resourcing, something that, for example, Peter Hawkins is recommending, either checking in with friends or something, because authenticity is very important, but that doesn't mean that we're coming in always with a light presence. And it feels when lightness, it's not authentic. So I don't know, you put me in a hard position, Ellen. I'm gonna go next to the things that I really, really, really know better, and the things that are West more to talk about.
I never put you in a bad position, Ingela.
No, I love you. Thank you, Ellen. Okay, let's go next to this next part, which is very much into what Jane was going. Is playing a little tricks on me. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves, what comes first? Either is creativity that moves humor or play, or is humor, no, with this lightness, that moves us into play or creativity, or is play that moves us into creativity and humor? So again, is it creativity first that moves us into humor and play, or is humor that moves us into play or creativity, or is play that moves us into creativity and humor? So which one do you think is the first one that moves us into a next level? If you, okay, let us see your hands. Okay, could you please raise your hands again, because I lost you? Oh, Jean.
Okay. Yes, my idea is that there is not one size fits all. It
Okay.
depends on how we have creativity, play, etc. in our own life. So it could be play before, because we present something which is playful, and then it's going to develop, or it can start also with humor. So it all depends on what is open for us. Because in the breakout room, we already said that creativity is not something that we can teach someone, It's related to who we are and how we have it in our own life first.
Oh, absolutely, Jean. Let me hear Sylvie Ann, because she might say something that I wanted to say, and I don't want to preempt something. and then I'll answer to you, because what you just said is beautiful. So Sylvie Ann, please.
Yes, thank you. Personally, I know my assumption is that we all have creativity. We all have access to our creativity, and it's a matter of me giving myself permission, connecting to my heart, my body, my spirit, and bring it. I'm the one who's going to give myself permission to the trust, the lightness, and I would add the flawlessness, flawfulness. I mean, the contrary, flawfulness. like the imperfection. When I let go of that, it gives me access to my playfulness, sense of humor, lightness, and creativity.
Okay, thank you very much, the two of you. So, in essence, what you both share is that it really very much depends on the occasion and the stage that we are in life, right? And you could say that yes, creativity is something that we have as a potential. So, for example, a child, let's say that it's very creative. Why? Because her curiosity is so unobstructed, right? But as we get older, education or limiting beliefs diminishes our capacity for creativity. And then we have to become coaches again, and then we become creative again, right? Or maybe we know each other much, and then we meet again and we have a common language, and then we just need a little humor together, right? Or maybe we just don't know each other and we're facilitating a big room, and then we cannot start with humor. Because we have not developed a common language or a common history that allows us to start with humor. So yes, it really depends. So as much as I would have to say, let's start with playing, it doesn't necessarily applies to the same, no, to all the context. Creativity, it's a potential to us all, but it depends in the context that we are. So let's advance a little bit in the subject. An easy start sometimes might be an easy start, but it doesn't apply to your point. Might be like, oh, this is my crazy Spanish version. So my presentation is playing with me, you see. Okay. So there's a thing. What I'm gonna, do you see the, okay, here. There's a thing that it's called game, and there's a thing that it's called play. And before I make the distinction, I'm gonna show you this first one. Do you think is game or is it play? And you can open your mics and just say game, play. It doesn't.
Play.
Okay.
Play.
Good.
Play.
This one, is this a game or this is play?
Game.
Game.
Okay.
Game.
And this one
Play.
little.
Play.
Okay.
Play.
This is game or this is play?
Game.
Game.
This one.
Game.
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 Okay. This
Maybe.
might go on the two sides depending if we are playing by the rules or not.
Yeah.
Play.
This one.
Play.
Game.
It could be plain, right? Okay, so this
Game.
one sounds like
Game. Game.
Game.
okay.
Game.
And this
Play.
one,
Play.
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 Play. Yeah.
this one,
Game.
Play.
Game again.
Play
I'd say
again.
game.
Play
Both.
again.
Play or game.
I'd say both.
Both.
okay, it could be both. So as you could see, there are differences on how we allow ourselves to be creative in the way we react to an object or we follow the rules, right? Sometimes we think that because we're saying we're playing a game, we're being creative. we're playing by the rules, it's not as creative, right? And those things, a little by little, add or diminishes the activities that allows our mind to wander and allow creativity. Sometimes, and this is, and Lily, please, if I'm saying something very wrong, tell me now. But in some of the competencies that are asked by the ICF, and there are some, how do you say? The recordings and some of the discussions that are having from the MCCs versus the ACCs is that there are many restrictions that are asked in the coaching competencies. That are many rules that are asked to the coaches, right? So I'm not saying what is wrong and what is right, but what I'm saying is if we ask too many rules, then the room to play is little. So that's just a conversation that needs to happen. Nothing is saying that it's right or wrong. Lily, you still haven't said nothing, so I'm gonna say that I passed it.
I'm thinking about it because I think the new core competencies does allow a lot of space to play and a lot of space to be creative. And the way I look at it is the ACC is and going into PCC is a good framework to sort of set into your mind, and then as you move up in the PCC and into MCC, you're really letting go. You're letting go because it's in your body already, and then you just play and dance with your client partner way more than at ACC where you're all concerned about performance.
Okay, so probably that had addressed the previous issues that were those conversations, and I'm not into that conversation anymore. But that was kind of a concern. I'm not saying that was an issue, but that was a concern that it felt too rigid. So people, instead of being able being into the active listening, was too much of having a conversation with the questions and with the rules. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Whether playing is a moment of full presence. That is why playing is such an important moment in supervision. Playing is not just a moment of really joy. It's a moment of presence. Have you noticed when you're, and those of you that are have the joy to be close to a child, whether it's son, grandchild, the child of a friend, when you're playing with them and then you get distracted because you got your cell phone or a phone call or watching a TV program, they notice when you're just like with the little thing like, no, play, you're not playing. You know, they notice when you're no longer there, because playing needs your full presence. So if we think in supervision, something like playing is an act of full presence, of full connection. If we can have that feeling of playing, then creativity is going to be around. It's not something that we will have to think about it. And I'm going to show you this idea that comes from psychoanalysis. I made a few twisted, it's not exactly as it is, so that is why I cannot put it just, it's derived from some Winnicott's thinking, but I cannot say he said this, so I didn't quote him because his followers are going to be, angry. So the difference between game and play. And what is play? Play is about doing, and it's the space that two can create to do something new. So, and this is very much what happens in supervision. It's no longer your space. When you say we hold the client's agenda, like their agenda, it's not my agenda. Both agenda. And as you were having your conversations in group, I was talking to Lily about her magic box, which is fantastic. And I think the magic box is an excellent example. When we always say Lily Zero magic box, right? Because it's very branded. We always know what we're talking about. But really, even if it's Lily Zero magic box, we make it ours. But when we put it into the table, it's not Lily's, it's not ours. It is those beautiful elements. We put it there, we play with them. Our supervisee uses them, and we create together, because they might use a rope or whatever the element is there. And we create a story, or whatever way we use it, because there's also different ways to use it. So it's a new space that two different people create to do something new. And then, as you could see, we're using the word creation. So from that moment, we are doing supervision, we are playing, we are already creating something new. Even without realizing, we were looking to create something. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful that we are creating something without knowing we were, aiming to create something just because we were playing? I don't see your excitement.
We're at halftime, Ingela.
It seems to me that it's a lot more about the openness that was spoken of earlier. Jane spoke of trust. It includes trusting oneself to be here, to be responsive, to be able, to be capable, to be real. There's so many social constructs, as you said earlier, Ingela. No, don't do it this way. No, don't do that. No, don't be that way. We have to work extra hard, both in coaching and in supervising, not to get caught up in the do's and don'ts that other people assign to us.
That is very true. And a way to get round of not being self-conscious is playing. So if you feel that sometimes you get too conscious of yourself, playing is an excellent formula. Learning to play is an excellent formula to escape from that. So yes, thank you, Naomi, for bringing that. Because sometimes we feel need to go into years of therapy and reading and mindfulness, and playing give us a self space and I don't know, moment just for that. Okay, let's go on, because we are just 25 minutes away from finishing. Okay. So again, let's think about what is creativity. This creativity that we are inviting, that actually we are creating without even knowing. So what is creativity? And this is also like a very kind of a magic finding. The creativity is not something just you do. It is in the way you look at things. So for example, when I was looking at the slides, right, and preparing these slides, what it showed rapidly in creativity is, oh, this pencil is different, right? I don't know. Maybe creativity is what in these pencils that look the same, they are not at all the same. What if there's a round point that it's different? That there is a distance that is different in a few of them? what if I look them more in, to the left or my left, right? Or into the right? Creativity is more in the way we start looking at things. So we don't have to start making things so different from the outside. And we don't start making, we don't ask the exterior things to look so different. So it's not really about being different. So let's do a little exercise. What would you do about this object? Look them, and you have 1 minute to write in the chat, what would you do about this subject? Okay, I'm going to read some of the answers. So you could see that the objects, they are what they are. So it is about the people that do something with them. So make a magic box. Okay. Admire them, having some time for caring and relax, give them away. I would ask my grandchildren, what do they see? Take a spa day, brush something, feel something, organized by size or shape or color. Nothing. Okay, Brian, you just don't like them. Put them in a shadow box and hang in my bathroom. Appreciate their simplicity, divert their use. Okay, so as you could see, it's about it's the same objects, and what would you do with them? Let me tell you, what would I do with these objects? I would put them in a suitcase and go on vacation. So this is what they mean to me. As you could see, the change is not about the objects. It's about what it's in you and about the way you see things. This is about what creativity looks like. So we always try to see how to transform the world when the things are already in us. Or not. Okay. Let's have some few reflections, and later we can have a few questions. How can we think about creativity and knowledge? So there's a very important thing about creativity, and it's related to knowledge. There's a beautiful book that is called The Geography of Genius by Eric Weiner. And what he suggests is that there are very important episodes in time in certain cities, like Calcutta, Edinburgh. Actually, he said 2 times in Edinburgh. Athens, and and Florence, where there was kind of a turmoil of knowledge, and there was science and many creative thinking, many things and knowledge going on. And knowledge provided more knowledge, and there was a lot of creativity going on. So when we know many things, creativity appears to happen rapidly. So we don't create from nothing. We create because apparently we read many things in the past. We learned, we studied, we saw documentals, we observed, and then we have apparently a very creative mind. So we cannot expect to be creative just from nothing. So it's important that we read, we learn, we have teachers, we are curious about things. Okay, so let's pause a little bit now and see what questions are coming up from you from what we see, what we have seen so far in terms of playing, creativity, inviting creativity into your sessions, knowledge, this new way of thinking, creativity. Yes, Jane.
To be able to be creative, we can't be attached too much to anything. I feel like there's a real heaviness and attachment going on around us, and it doesn't free us up to solve the issues and the challenges as much as we could, which we desperately need. So it's a flexibility of thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the most important skills that we need to develop as humanity in these crucial moments, especially of what, for example, Brian was bringing, is flexibility. What do we need to learn and unlearn? Peter Hawkins is always saying, starting every training, he says, what is your intention, right? And he said, well, what do you need to learn, and what do you need to unlearn after this training? And we always need to think about that. What do we need to unlearn? And that's a term of, what do I need to get unattached? So that's probably a very nice reflection. If we don't have any more questions, we can go to a small groups, again, of, I don't know, 3, and think about what do we need in each one of our professions or roads in life or personal life. What do we need to unlearn or get unattached from in order to become more flexible? That's an important question, and I don't think anyone wakes up in the morning and say, okay, what do I need to be more flexible on? Except for those that practice yoga, might say, oh, I need, become more proficient at the triangle pose. But except for those, nobody's asking, what do I need to be more flexible on? Especially those that don't want to be more flexible. Okay, so any more questions before to go into those groups, and then we come back and say our goodbyes? Okay, no more questions. So this will be our 5 minutes round. What do I need to get more unattached, or what do I need to unlearn? Hello, welcome back. So we'd like to hear a few voices on what things you would like to unlearn or get unattached.
I will start. I really want to unlearn my expectations of how I think things happen. And we were talking about emptying ourselves and allowing porosity. Did I pronounce that right, John? Elvir?
Porousness.
Porousness.
Yeah.
Kind of having life feed us like the water in a plant.
Lovely, thank you. Someone else?
So I'll go, Cynthia. I said I would like to unlearn the rules so I can just be free to play and allow creativity to emerge.
Lovely. That's even poetical. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alfonso.
I want to say one thing about rules. I don't think they're necessarily bad or negating, because if you put children on a playground without any fences, they will hover in the middle. But if you put up the boundaries, they will play all the way to the edge. So I think boundaries, maybe rather than rules, help us be creative.
Nice. Nice.
That's a beautiful reflection, and I think it is very much what probably I think Gian and Sylvia answered at the beginning. It depends. It always depends. The rules is that there are rules that it depends, and there are the context, and unlearn, and each one knows which rules need to be unlearned and which ones probably need to become firmer. And it's a very interesting reflection. Which ones are which ones? And at what times, even at the same place, but at what times? So it's a very pertinent reflection. And I like these subtleties because they show we are thinking deeply. It's not a recipe. And even after a supervision, we might say, oh, this is something that I might not have said with another supervisee. But this time was very necessary. This time it was important. And then you might learn something. And probably that was a moment of unattachment. That you had to let go something you had not done before, but because this person, and at that moment of playing, it was needed. So probably the unattachment comes after the self-reflection, right? Not previous. And that's another topic. Sometimes, Lily, you might invite me about the things we have to do and learn after the thing happened. We cannot prepare ourselves for the future all the time. We just learned from the past and that's it. We might not use it again, but it was a good reflection and it was needed. Okay, so we have 3 minutes left, and while I ask you, please, one thing to put in the chat is one thing, and Cynthia and Jean, and I think who else already shared in the chat what is the thing that they will be, one thing that they will do for being more creative, one thing they will do or be unattached to be more creative. I would like to share that many of the things that I've been presenting with you, it's in a book that I wrote in November that is called Humour in Psychoanalysis and Coaching Supervision.
Wow. Okay.
So you might be interested in it. So Peter Hawkins made the preface, and Judy Wright also commented on it, and David Clutterback made me, it was an honor that they made the reviews for it. So if you're interested. And thank you so much for starting your week with me, with this reflection, sharing your practice. And if you want to say anything else, we have 2 minutes before Lily suddenly cut us. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Ingela. Let's give her a big hand, however you like to give her a hand. Well done. Lovely reflection space. Great topic to think about. Nice way to start the week for me anyways. So thank you so much. And we will see everybody July 17th is our next session. To be determined. Thanks for coming, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Ingela.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Gracias.
Gracias.
Yes.